Welcome back to another explainer from Forge College. So, in our last lesson, we were kind of deep in the theoretical weeds, exploring the storage economy and incentives. But today, we're taking all that high-level conceptual architecture and bringing it right down to earth. We're going to build a concrete, real-world application, specifically a working, scannable, QR-based checkout flow.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our engineering schematic for today. We're going to look at moving from storage to scanning, the anatomy of a payload, URI versus JSON formats, the coffee shop flow, code, callbacks and polling, and finally, confirming the transaction.
Section 1. From storage to scanning.
So I want you to put yourself in a very specific mindset right now. Imagine you're the lead merchant developer building a point-of-sale terminal for that bustling coffee shop down the street. Our main mission here is bridging software architecture directly to physical action. We're taking those advanced on-chain payment patterns we've talked about and translating them into a scannable QR payload. The idea is just beautifully simple. A customer walks up, scans the tablet screen with their mobile wallet, and buys a latte without missing a beat.
Moving on to Section 2. Anatomy of a payload.
So the crucial point is that a QR checkout payload isn't some black box magic. Mechanically, it's really just a neat little container for instruction data and metadata, telling the wallet exactly what action to take. Let's walk through this like an engineering blueprint. There are 4 essential pieces of info we've got to pack in here. First step, the intent. Basically, what's the action? Here it's pay. Second, the subject. Who's receiving the funds? That's our merchant's public key. Third, the parameters. How much does it cost? Let's say 1.5 tokens. And finally, metadata. What is this transaction actually for? A coffee. These 4 fields map perfectly to the literal physical act of your customer buying a specific item at the register.
Section 3. URI versus JSON formats.
Now, as you progress through Forge College's wider learning programs, you'll see this recurring theme. Software engineering is almost always about managing trade-offs. And this brilliantly illustrates the exact trade-off developers face when designing checkout flows. On one side, we have the simple URI format. This is your static simplicity. It is incredibly compatible with almost every wallet out there, making it perfect for a fast, easy, one-off transfer. But on the other side, we have the JSON format. This gives you dynamic flexibility. It allows for serialized transactions, which means you, the merchant, have incredibly precise, exacting control over advanced on-chain interactions.
But hey, here is a real-world tip that will save you so many headaches. Watch your payload length. Seriously, if you pack too much data into a JSON payload and base64 encode it, your QR code basically turns into this incredibly dense wall of digital static. And let me tell you, there's absolutely nothing more awkward than a customer standing at the counter holding up a huge line of uncaffeinated grumpy people while their phone camera desperately struggles to decode a massively dense QR code. No way. To avoid this, you can cleverly offload those massive JSON payloads to a short HTTPS URL. That way, the physical QR code stays nice and small, and the wallet just fetches all that heavy data over the web in the background.
All right, Section 4. The coffee shop flow.
Now, what's really interesting here is if we hit pause right in the middle of our busy coffee shop narrative and look directly under the hood at the workflow responsibilities. First, the customer's wallet automatically handles these 5 steps. It scans the QR, parses our payload, pops up a confirmation UI, cryptographically signs the transaction, and submits it to the network. Step 3 is absolutely vital here. Your payload has to surface clear merchant metadata so that when that UI pops up, the customer sees downtown coffee shop and instinctively trusts the transaction they're about to approve.
Now let's flip it back to your perspective as the merchant. Your tablet terminal has 4 main jobs. You must deterministically compute the exact instruction set, encode it cleanly into that QR code, patiently await the digital signature, and then finally update the tablet UI. You're basically setting the stage perfectly and then waiting for the network's official seal of approval.
Section 5. Code, callbacks, and polling.
Let's move to and see how this builds from conceptual flows directly into the actual deterministic serialization logic you'll be writing in your terminal's codebase. Before we serialize anything, we have to talk about the NOTs, or timestamp. This is a unique, time-based value stamped directly into your payload. Why? To prevent replay attacks. I promise you, if you forget to include a timestamp in your payload, a customer could accidentally execute the transaction twice and literally pay for the exact same latte 2 times. And while your shop's accountant might love the unexpected revenue, your customer's going to be pretty upset. So here are the precise serialization steps. We build the payload object with our recipient and label. Crucially, we define our payment amounts in lamb ports, the absolute smallest unit, just to completely avoid any nasty floating point math errors. Then we stringify the JSON, base64 encode it to pack the data as tightly as possible into the QR, and finally format the whole shebang as a data URI string ready to be rendered onto our tablet screen.
Now, once the wallet successfully submits the transaction, how do we actually find out about it? Well, one highly efficient method is a callback deep link. This is a specialized URL scheme. It acts exactly like an immediate digital receipt handoff from the customer's wallet back to the merchant's checkout tablet. The customer's wallet literally pings this URL to hand the transaction signature securely and directly back to your application.
Section 6. Confirming the transaction.
But remember, just having a signature isn't quite enough. The barista can't physically hand over the coffee just because we have a cryptographic signature. We need true finality from the network. To ensure this works flawlessly every single time, you should design your backend to accept both of these models: direct callback, where we passively wait for the wallet to ping our deep link, and RPC polling, where our merchant backend actively queries the network asking, hey, did this specific signature clear yet? Designing your backend to handle both ensures maximum compatibility across whatever diverse wallets your customers might walk in with.
Finally, your backend runs a tiny, elegant state machine. The order starts out as pending. Then, as soon as that RPC polling confirms the network finality, the state officially shifts to confirmed. You push this update live to your tablet UI using WebSockets or server-sent events. Instantly, the terminal screen flashes payment confirmed, and the customer can finally grab their drink and go.
So, we've successfully mastered a simple coffee purchase. But this is Web 3, and the architecture allows us to do so much more. What happens when a single QR code scan needs to instantly split that one payment between the barista's tip jar, the bean roaster's account, and a tax wallet, all simultaneously within the exact same transaction? Well, that is exactly what we're diving into in our next module on split payments. To make sure you don't miss that, and to explore our full curriculum, be sure to visit forge.college. There is an absolute wealth of knowledge waiting for you there to help you master Web 3 building. Keep experimenting with those payloads, and I'll see you in the next explainer.